Welcome to my channel, and I'm back with you once again with another video of Microsoft Flight Simulator 24. In this video today, I'm going to give you a complete walkthrough of the Garmin G1000, which is a navigation device for many planes in the simulator. If you know how to configure this device and to interact with it, then you're really enjoying your simulation experience, because it's a really powerful device and it gives you a good flexibility over your flight planning. So let's start the video by looking at the different displays of this Garmin G1000. This is the primary flight display and this is the navigation display. So I will start with the primary flight display, which is PFD. Now, as a beginner, you might get confused by all the buttons and all the options coming, but I will just try to explain everything to you. And plus, I will also do a flight from Heathrow to Manchester, and then you will just really see everything in actions so that you can really understand. So this is actually the volume knob. If you want to hear the frequency of the VOR, which is very high frequency omnidirectional radio, then this is used. VORs are actually ground-based navigation devices which were used earlier to basically navigate your way through the airspace. But now we have GPS. So anyhow, we will be tuning into VORs just to show you that if you want to tune into a VOR, how you will do it. Now, this is actually the button to basically swap the radio frequencies for the NAV1 and NAV2. So if you tune into any VOR or ILS, you can just change these frequencies. So right now, this is the active frequency 113.90, and the identifier of this VOR is also coming OTR, just to make sure that you tune into the right VOR, and then you can also listen to it. Okay, now you have this knob. It has two knobs again, a smaller one and a larger one. If you move this larger knob, the numbers before the decimal change, and if you move the smaller one, the numbers after the decimal change. So let's say, as I'm doing this flight from Heathrow to Manchester, I want to tune into the Heathrow VOR. What I'll do is this. I'll press Shift 2. I'll go over here. On this screen, the navigation display. Then you see these two knobs again, and the larger one and the smaller one. Just move the larger one, and it will take you to this option nearest. Now you will see nearest airports, intersections, NDBs, and VORs. So this is the information related to the airport. But if I just move the smaller knob, you will see I can select the nearest VORs. And the nearest VOR, it is already coming as London, because this is for the Heathrow. The frequency is given, and it's 113.6. So I can tune into this frequency, 113.6. And then I can make it the active frequency by pressing this button. Now I'm tuned into this VOR. So if the GPS fails during the flight, I can use this frequency to actually fly towards it or away from it and use it as a navigation device. I can do this. Okay, so if you want to swap between the navigation 1 and 2, all you have to do is this: bring your cursor over here. When you see this hand sign, just hold it with your left mouse button, keep on pressing it, and then press the right button, and this changes, and then you can change this frequency also. So this is how you do it. Okay. Then this knob is for the heading bug. This is the heading bug. This actually whole thing is known as the HSI, which is a horizontal situation indicator. It has got lots of information, and you will be really using it during the flight. And I will just try to break it down for you so that you can easily read it. So HSI actually has a combination of course deflection indicator, which is CDI, and plus the compass. So you can move this knob and change the heading bug, which is over here. So during the flight, I will actually be keeping this heading bug over here. So no matter where the plane is going, I will just be setting this heading bug, because in case if in the flight you decide to basically fly in the heading mode instead of the GPS mode, then you have your heading bug just in the right direction. Before I begin, I would just like to tell you that on this screen you will see that information is shown in two colors, magenta and cyan. Magenta is actually your plan, whatever the plan that you make for the flight. Whatever the heading is, where the plane is going, it will appear in this magenta color. And anything that you are giving as an input, this will come as a cyan color. So this heading is set by me, so that's why it's coming over here in cyan color, and the rest is coming in magenta. Now DTK is basically your desired track where you want to be, and heading is your current heading wherever you want to go. So desired track is basically your course. So I will also explain it to you. Now all these buttons are actually for the autopilot. You press this button to activate the autopilot and deactivate it. Then this button brings up the flight director. If you want to fly the plane on autopilot, the flight director should be on. If the flight director is not on, then you will not be able to fly this plane on autopilot in the GPS mode. Then this button is for the heading. So if you are flying in autopilot mode and you want to follow the heading, whatever the heading you set over here, you press this button and the plane will actually fly in the heading mode. Now this is for the altitude. During the climb and during the descent, if you press this button, the plane will actually stabilize at the altitude at which it is at that time. So the descent or the climb will stop and the plane will then level off, and it will keep on flying in that same altitude at which you have pressed this button. Now if you want the plane to follow the GPS flight plan that you have made, then you press this button and it actually follows that. Now this is VNAV. VNAV is actually vertical navigation. So there is a point in the flight where you have to start your descent. Obviously, if you are flying at 6,000 feet, 7,000 feet, the ceiling for this plane is 14,000 feet. So even if you're flying at 10,000 feet and plus you are approaching towards the runway and you have to descend to 3,000 feet or 2,000 feet. So this is basically this VNAV button is used near the top of descent. You press it and the plane automatically starts to descend towards the runway at a given descent rate. So this button is used for that. And approach button is actually used to follow the glide slope for the ILS and for the RNAV. So if you're carrying out an ILS approach or an RNAV approach, you press this approach button and it takes you towards the runway. Then these two buttons are actually for your vertical path. When you are climbing or descending, you use vertical speed and flight level change to basically set your climb and descent rate. Now in the vertical speed mode, you have this option nose up and nose down. So you actually, if you want to climb, you press this button nose up and the plane's vertical speed is increases over here. And if you press down, it decreases. So if you want to descend, you go with the nose down. If you want to climb up, you press nose up. And flight level change, I will explain it to you during the flight. This is a very interesting feature. What it does is this, that it actually, let's say in the vertical speed mode, if you are climbing, the plane's speed gets compromised if you have a higher climb rate. So obviously if you're climbing at a high rate, the speed will decrease. So in order to control that, you use this option nose down to control the speed of the plane. But during the climb rate, let's say if you want to just climb at 75 knots or 80 knots or 85 knots, whatever the speed that you want, you take the plane to that speed, you set your altitude, and then you press this FLC button and the plane will maintain that speed and it will keep on climbing. Or even during the descent, you can do the same thing. Now this knob is for the altitude. So this is your altimeter, which is coming over here. And this is your climb and descent rate indicator. So if you move this knob, the larger one, the altitude changes in thousands and it changes in hundreds. So let's say after the flight, I want to climb up to 2,000 feet. So I will move the larger knob and I will set it to 2,000. Now you can see that it's in cyan color, which shows you that this is an input by the user. Okay, so this is another thing. Now let's explore all these buttons over here. This is map and HSI. So if you press map and HSI, horizontal situation indicator, it will ask you for the layout. So what kind of a layout you want? Do you want to insert map in it? So this is HSI. If you press this, you'll see the map, or you can also see the map in the HSI. So even this map even starts to appear over here. So you can change this. Good thing to do, but I just keep it off because then it gets too much clutter. You can press the back button, and again you can press back and it takes you to the screen. Now let's go with the PFD options. PFD options, it has got many other options. SVT, you can see the pathways, terrain, and heading label. You can see the headings over here. If I press this, the heading will stop to appear over here. Terrain, and terrain is gone over here. So you can keep the terrain. And plus pathways. During the flight, if you keep this thing active, you will see the pathways. So I will just keep it active in order to show you that how you see the pathways over here. A good indicator in the flight. Press back, and now you can get the wind option. Right now no wind data is coming, but as soon as I will make the flight plan and start the flight, you will see the wind is coming. You can turn it off. You can have option 1. It appears in different options. You can change it. I will just show it to you during the flight. Then you have the DME. DME is actually distance measuring equipment. If you press this button, it will tell you the distance from the active frequency. Whatever the ground-based navigation device you tune into, it tells you the distance to that. So right now it's 113.6, and this is nav 1, and your distance is 1.8 nautical miles from this device. Then you have this option, bearing 1. If you press bearing 1, it will let you know that nav 1 is actually tuned into this viewer for Heathrow, and then you can press it again. It will tune into the other one, the nav 2. You can keep either the ILS over here or whatever the viewer you want to track. You can just change it, and then bearing 1 again changes to ADF. Now ADF is actually used for non-directional beacons, another navigation device. If you are tuned into an NDB, then you have to go to this option ADF. But right now we are not doing this. And plus this is for the GPS. So this will actually tell you the distance and the heading, and plus the waypoint to which the plane is going as per the GPS tracking. So over here, either you want to track your VOR, ILS, or ADF. So whatever you want to track, it will come over here. So I will just bring the GPS over here. Similarly, for bearing 2, let's say I keep the VOR over here for London. So my GPS will appear over here, and for the VOR, it will appear over here. And again, I can just change it to any of the information that I want to look at. I will change it during the flight in order to show you this thing in action. Then you have altitude units. Now this is basically the barometric pressure. You have to adjust it to get the right reading for the altitude. If this unit is not correct, then you will have wrong altimeter readings. So you have to adjust it. So you can either use it in this format or in this format. Now if I press tab and I bring this flight plan, so let's say I just quickly get Heathrow and Manchester. And if I click this option and go to the weather, I will see the air pressure. So as it appears in this format, so that's why let's keep it like this. But if you are just looking at the units like this, you can change it. So it's 1024. Now in order to adjust this altimeter, you will use this knob. So this knob, the triangular one, changes the course, and this actually changes the altimeter. So let's set it to 1024. Now you're having correct indication of the altitude. So it should be set. If I press back, I can just go back again. Now this is the standard baro. So for every airport, there is actually a transition altitude. Above that altitude, you use the standard baro. If I press this, it will take you to 1013, which is the standard. So that's it. So if you are not crossing that altitude, then you can just keep on flying. In this setting. Okay. So let's keep it like this. Now this is the button for the CDI. This is basically your course deflection indicator, which tells you either you're following the course or not. The CDI can be changed. Now right now this CDI is in the GPS mode. As you can see, GPS is coming over here. If I press this now, VOR, now you're tracking the VOR. Now you see this arrow, and plus this is known as the CDI needle. It has to be in the center. If you're flying in the direction of the VOR, then this needle should be in the center. So this shows you the deflection from the course. This is then again, whatever I'm tracking, it will just be appeared over here. This is the second option, and this is for the GPS. Now interestingly, as I'm tuned into the VOR for Heathrow, you can see this arrow. It's coming over here. So it's pointing towards left. So it means that this VOR is on the left side. So you can change the modes by pressing this button, and you will have different type of tracking. If you are doing this GPS navigation and you have activated nav during the flight, then you should have your GPS over here. But if the CDI shows VOR, then it will not follow the GPS flight plan. So it should be selected like this. Then you have this ADF/DME. This is actually used for the NDBs. Right now, I will not be tracking the NDB, so I will just skip this part. Then this is the transponder. You can set the code for the transponder. You can turn it on. You can just go in the standby mode, turn it on, and plus if you go over here code, you can just like enter whatever the transponder code you want over here. You can do this. Then go back, and if you press this, you can again see the nearest airports. So it's this information also coming over here. You can also look at this information from this screen. And then if you have any alerts, they will appear over here. And this is your basically timer. So if you want to start the timer, you can just move this knob and you can start it up. And that's it. Now let's move to the next screen. Again, for this screen, you have the nav knob, the heading, same. But if you move it over here, it will be changed on this screen over here. Like this. And again, you have all the autopilot options, the altitude, it will just change over here. And that's it. Let me just get rid of this. And it has got simple options. If you press this, you get, the information for the engine. You want to go with this information or with this information, whatever you want, you can just go through it. Now, if you press engine, you will see the RPMs, the fuel flow, the oil pressure, oil temperature, exhaust gas temperature when the engine is, actually if I give throttle, you can see everything is changing. And plus the fuel quantity. Right now, the fuel, more fuel is burned from the left wing, although it's in the center. Anyhow, this will be fixed. And plus your electrical information coming over here, volts, 28 volts. So it's good. You can just go back, and then you have the map options. But before this, let's look at this, a detail all. So right now you can see the screen is really cluttered. It's showing you all the waypoints and plus NDBs. This thing, anything appearing as like this is an NDB. And then you have the VORs like this. So you can press this button and you can just get rid of the information that you don't want to see. So anyhow, I'll just keep it like this, detail all. And then you have the map option. Now in the map option, you can turn on and off the traffic. And plus, if you press legend, it will show you, the legend, different colors being shown over on the screen. So that's it. Now, these buttons, just look at them. This is actually a direct. So during the flight, if you press this button, you can directly fly to a waypoint. And then you have this option of a flight plan. You can make a flight plan over here. And then this button is actually used to clear any information that's been entered over here. And then you have the menu. You have the map settings. If I press enter, you can see, let's say right now the orientation is heading up. So the north is always up. I can change this if I want. North up, heading up, and track up. So right now north up is there, so no need to change this. And that's it. So leave all these settings like this. And then you have declutter or current detail all. So you can just if you've already changed this option from here. Now this is basically for the procedure. You can select the approach, the departure, and the arrival. You can do this. And that's it. So again, you have this knob. I didn't talk about the COM port. So let me just talk about this COM knob as well. You can tune into different frequencies. So let's say I move this knob and I go to the nearest, and I go to the nearest airport, and now press and hold your left mouse key when you see this hand sign on this knob, and then with the right key you can have the cursor over here, and then if you go down you can just scroll through all the airports. Now at the bottom you will see airport, runway, frequency. So if I press frequency, it will just jump to this point. So tower, ground, ATIs for the weather, and then you have the frequencies for the ILS. So let's say if I want to tune into ground, 121.705. So again, 1 to 1. I can change it. And now I'm tuned into the ground. 121.705. Yes, it's correct. So then I can just bring up this option and I can, interact with it. Request taxi, remain in the pattern, whatever the request you want to send. So this is how you do it. Now coming to the flight plan, let's make a flight plan, and then once I'm in the flight, I will just take you through all the options. Now you want to enter the origin airport and the destination. Let's bring up the electronic flight bag over here on the screen as well, and then we can just look at the flight plan. So I will not make a flight plan over here. It is just for my information, and I will just make the flight plan over here. I will just tell you how to configure this part of the Garmin G1000. So right now you can see there's no cursor shown, so I can press with the left mouse button and press the right. Now move the cursor over here, and now you can enter the airport. So now move the small knob and press this keyboard sign and enter EGLL for Heathrow, and press enter. And runway, I will not select it right now. I will select it from this procedure option and press enter. And now you have your departure. For the destination, I can select EGCC and press enter and press enter. Now you have a flight plan from this airport to another. But obviously it's not following any departure procedure, which is SID, standard instrument departure, or arrival procedure, which is STAR, standard terminal arrival. So for the procedure, I will bring my cursor to EGLL, and I will press this button, procedure. Now for the departure, move it to this option, press enter, and now you can select the departure. Now without looking at any navigation planning source, either SimBrief or SkyVector or even the electronic flight bag, you can actually select the departure. Let's go back. I just want to show you something. Let's clear it. Yeah. Now you can see that the direction is towards this side. So we have to select a departure which takes you towards Manchester, like this. So let's have a look at the departure procedures. Press enter. And now move the smaller knob. And then now, if I select this, this is obviously taking me to some other part. I don't want this. And I cannot even take this because it will just go to this point, BPK, and then back to Manchester. So this will not work for me. So this is the power of the Garmin G1000, that you can look at the departure and the arrival procedures, and you can select the one that you want. So just keep on moving here. I can select this procedure as well, but I will show you one procedure that suits the best. This one, UMLA1F. Now you can see that I will take off from runway 27 right. This is the runway that I will be using, and this will take me over there. Now, why I'm using runway 27 right? Because it's already selected by the electronic flight bag. If you press this option and you go to the runways, you can see that 27 and 20 left are, this direction is actually the recommended direction. I can also select 27 left if I want. Even this departure will be valid for 27 left as well. So let's select this, and let me change the runway. No, it actually will not allow me to do that. So let's change it. Yeah, 27 left. I can use this point. So that's how you change it. So now 27 left, which is the recommended runway. I will use this one. And then move the larger knob and just go over here and load, enter. So now you have a proper departure procedure. As you can see now, it's not a straight line. It has a departure procedure. The heading and the distance to all the points are given. And it will take you to this point, Umlaut. Now, in this option, you can select any waypoint that you want. You can find it, find route, and this is taking you to this point 1, Skina. You can use any of the points that you want. You can populate this flight plan. So just for your information, I will just select this point. Just move your smaller knob and see the keyboard sign and just type it in, SKINA. Let's see where it takes us. Press enter and just zoom out, and let's see where this point is here. So a good point. That's it. Now for the destination, you have to select again procedure and select arrival. First of all, let's select the approach. Press enter. Now approach, I will be using runway 23 right. Let's see what's the recommended runway. 23 left. This is coming as a recommended runway, but I will use 23 right. Because for 23 left, it's only RNAV. So I want to actually do ILS. So that's why I will select 23 right. You can see all the options coming. ILS, RNAV, and VR for 5. Let's select ILS 23 right and press enter. And now for this arrival procedure, there is this procedure coming as MCT, which is the initial approach fix. MCT is actually a VOR in Manchester, and it's somewhere here. So first you will come to this point, and then you will turn right, and then you will follow all this procedure, and then you will just come back and land. So either you can select vectors if you want, and let me first of all load it, and then I can just change it if I want. First of all, let's load it and see, and press enter. Now this procedure is there. Now there is a discontinuity. I can scroll through it. Now, if on this range knob you press and hold it with your left mouse button and press the right mouse button, you will see this cursor. Now move it. There seem to be a discontinuity. What I can do is this. Right now I can just bring it back and bring the cursor over here and select the arrival. Let's select the arrival and let's see if any issue appears. Press enter. Now I cannot select this point because EGCC is here. So the plane will go all the way to this point and then it will just go with the arrival. So it's not advisable to pick up this. This is a good point because we're coming from this direction. So this is, I think, a good option to select. So let's select this one. Enter and load. Enter. Now, is there any discontinuity in the flight plan or not? It's good. This discontinuity is gone. But as I have selected this arrival procedure, so no need to go to this point Skinner. You can see that first of all the plane will go to this point Skinner and then it will just fly back to LVOS and then it will proceed with the approach and with the landing. So I can get rid of Skinner. Just bring the cursor again like this. Oops. And let's go to Skinner and I can clear it. Enter. That's it. Now it makes sense. So I have a good flight plan. So again, scroll through it and let's see if you have a good flight plan. So during the flight even you can change the arrival and the procedure. So this plan seems to be a good one. Now again there is a discontinuity because now for the approach I didn't select the transition point. So basically when you complete the arrival procedure, so this is the arrival procedure as I've selected before. And then you go for the approach, then there is actually a transition a point where your arrival ends and the approach starts. So that's why you should have this point. So let me just bring up the cursor and select approach. Procedure, select approach, enter. And 23 right, enter, and then vectors, MCT, enter. Now minimums is an altitude basically where you should make a decision whether you want to go for the landing or not. Because if I'm carrying out an ILS approach and landing, although this device is really accurate, but still there can be errors. So that's why at this altitude before the runway, you just look at the runway. If you're really aligned with the runway, then you go with the landing. How to get this option, minimums? So for Manchester, let's get the charts. Approaches, 23 right, and this ILS. So you can see over here C and D. These are basically the minimums given for category 3, category 2, category 1 and localizer DME. This is actually the capability of the navigation device that you have. Category 3 is the very high precise ILS approach. Then lower precision and very low precision. So I will select 640. And you can see that it is actually 400 feet above the runway. The runway elevation is 249. So it's basically almost 400 feet above the runway. So it's 640. So I will just turn on the minimums, use the smaller knob to change it, and then 640. Just move the smaller knob and you can set it to 640. Press enter. Just, you can activate it or you can just load it. So first load it. Just zoom out and see if there is any discontinuity in the flight plan. Now you can see this discontinuity is not there because now I've selected the right procedure. So that's how you basically make your flight plan even without consulting the sim brief or the electronic flight bag, because I just wanted to show you the power of this Garmin G1000. Even during the flight, if you want to change the airport, you want to change the arrival procedures, the approach, you can easily do it if you know how to configure this. Now I will take this plane to the runway, and I will just fly this plane and will take you through all the options that I have shown you right now in this video. And I will just tell you how you will just interact with these two screens to carry out a successful flight. Now I am on the runway 27 left, as you can see. And let me just zoom out and let's have a look at the flight plan. So now this is the flight mode enunciator. This will give you a very good awareness of the flight mode you are in. Another thing I just want to tell you that if you look at this map, now you can see this path coming over here on your screen. And this is actually due to this option, map/HSI and plus the layout. It's from this option, PFD out and SVT. So if I just deselect it, you will see this path is gone. So you can just keep it like this, and during the flight, it will really help you. Now, you have to look at the flight mode enunciator during the flight in order to know what kind of mode the plane is in right now. Now you can see this roll is coming. So after the takeoff, when you will turn on the autopilot by pressing this button, the autopilot button, the plane will actually control its roll. So it will not roll left or right. It will just remain stable. And pitch. So whatever the pitch of the plane will be, the attitude, it will be it will remain constant. So these are the two things that will get activated as soon as I take off. I can take it into the heading mode. So after the takeoff, if I don't want to control the roll of the plane, but I just want to fly in the heading, then I will select this heading mode. So if I move this heading bug, as I told you before, you have to actually adjust it. So whatever the heading of the plane is, you have to adjust it, because, you know, let's say if you just want to fly in the heading mode, your heading bug should be here. So if your heading bug is somewhere here, the plane will start to go left or it will start to go right. So that's why you have to adjust the heading bug and keep it over here in the middle. Now the desired track is coming 269. So I can set it to 269 because this is where I want to go. And that's it. So I can also get the nav mode. When I'll press this button, plane will actually follow this GPS mode. And can I change this? No, I've now changed this mode, the pitch, to vertical speed. Now after the takeoff, when I will activate the autopilot, the plane will actually follow this GPS path, and I will select, let's say, my climb rate to be, initially I will just keep it at 1000. So this is actually 1000 feet per minute FPM. You know, you can see this changing over here. So now the plane will actually follow this GPS mode, and plus the vertical speed will be 1000 feet per minute. And at any point, I can press this FLC, flight level change, to basically make the speed stable and then fly this plane and continue with the climb. Now let's deactivate or disengage the parking brake, and let's give full throttle and take this plane up in the air. After 50 knots, I will just pull back on the yoke, just bring this arrow over here on 5 degrees. So this will be a 5-degree pitch up. slowly. Yeah, and that's how you take off. Now as the speed is increasing, I can get the flaps in. Yeah, flaps retracted. Now I can activate autopilot, and as soon as I will activate the autopilot, I can just release the yoke. Now you can see the plane is trying to climb at 1000 feet per minute. The speed is getting slow, and this is the flight path that you have to follow. Great. Now I can further increase the vertical speed in order to reduce the speed. I can bring it to 85 knots, and at this point I can press this button FLC. 85, and now FLC. Now the plane will give priority to the speed and will keep on adjusting the vertical speed. In the vertical speed mode, the priority is giving to the vertical speed. So whatever the vertical speed I have selected, the plane will actually follow that. But in this case, there are chances that the speed will reduce, obviously. At the higher altitudes, the air is thin, so the speed will reduce, and it will put lots of stress on the engine as well. So that's why what you do is this: you go with the flight level change. So with the flight level change, your speed remains constant, as you can see, 85 knots. And plus the plane will keep on climbing, and the vertical speed will keep on getting adjusted. So the priority is given to the speed. Now the plane has leveled off at 2000 feet. I can further climb to, let's say, 10,000 feet. Now I can again press vertical speed, adjust the vertical speed. Let's say I again keep it at 1000, or maybe at 1200. Let the speed go down. Now you can see there's a new path coming, and at 85 knots I can again press FLC. Flight level change, and that's it. Now you will see that as I have selected GPS over here, the bearing one. So right now it's showing me the information related to the GPS. The distance to the next point it's coming, it's going from D3 LON to D7 LON, and it's 3.6 nautical miles away, and the heading is 297 degrees, as you can see, desired track. So this is appearing in the magenta color. It means this is set by the by your GPS flight plan. As I told you before, this magenta color is for the GPS plan. And whatever I will set, it will just appear over here in this cyan color. I can keep on adjusting the heading bug. So make a habit that during the flight, just keep on adjusting the heading bug, because you never know when you want to fly in the heading mode. So right now, if I take this plane out of the GPS mode, press the heading, now the plane is in the heading mode. So now it's tracking the heading. So if I go left, it will go left. If I go right, it will go right. And at any time I can press the nav button to bring it back to the GPS mode. So that's how you do it. Now you can see the vertical speed is getting adjusted. So now over here, instead of tracking the Heathrow VOR, I can also track the Manchester VOR. But you can see this information is shown over here. The distance is now increasing because I'm going away from this VOR. So at any time, if I want to head back to Heathrow, I can just bring the plane, I'll just go back, change the CDI, and I can just track this VOR. I can easily do that. So that's simple. Now again, what I'll do is this, that I will change this to the Manchester VOR. So let's change like this, bring the cursor over here, and let's see if I can look at the Manchester VOR from here, MCT. So let's move this knob, Let's get rid of the flight plan. We don't need it. Clear. Now, just move this cursor, go to the nearest, and go to the nearest viewer. Press enter. Yep. And now bring your cursor, and let's see. This is showing you all the viewers. It's actually showing me in this range, but if I go like this, it should show me. Actually, currently I'm a bit far. That's why it's not showing me this viewer. So if you cannot see it, then what you can do, you can bring up this tab, and over here you can see the frequency for the Manchester viewer. It's 113.55. So I can just change it, 113.55. So just change this number and make it the active frequency. Now it's 125 nautical miles away, and city, and the heading is 332. Now there is something interesting that we can do. This is actually related to VOR navigation, because if I start to get into these details, these are altogether a different topic. So if I just want to set the course, let's say I want to go in this direction, so I'll just go into the CDI mode. As soon as I'm out of the CDI mode, the plane goes into the roll mode, so it will just stop following the GPS flight plan. Remember this thing. So I can set the course. So the desired course now is 332. So 332. So that's how you basically set the course for this. And for this VOR2, I need the ILS frequency for Manchester. I can tune into that. So the ILS DME is actually distance measuring equipment. This plane has a DME, distance measuring equipment. That's why you know how far you are from the airport or from the runway. And it is 109.5, and the identifier is INN 109.5. So I'll just and right now it's not actually picking up the right information because we are not near the airport. Basically, the range for the localizer for the ILS is less. So that's why as soon as I'm near the airport, it will pick it up. So just remember that for this first nav1, I'm tracking the VOR for Manchester, and this is the ILS. If I press CDI again, it's showing me the wrong. I can go back to this GPS and then press nav, and the plane will start to follow the flight plan. If it doesn't, then we have to fly in the heading mode. Oh, very far. So it's GPS roll. I can go in the heading mode, and then the plane will actually fly in this heading mode. Actually, I have totally gone off the course, so this is how you get back to the course. And then as soon as the plane intercepts this line, it will then follow this GPS, because GPS is also active. So right now plane is in the heading mode. I'm flying in the heading mode, and as soon as the plane will intercept this line, then it will just switch to GPS mode. So that's how you go back to the flight plan if your plane doesn't follow the flight path. I can go further right. Now let's wait for it. As soon as the plane will intercept this line, it will just turn left automatically. Because right now, this is the active mode and this is the backup mode. The new terminology that I've made for this G1000. So this is the backup mode. Now you can see GPS is active now. So the plane will actually start to follow this path. Now I'm almost near the top of descent. So let's have a look at the navigation display. The flight plan is there. Just ignore the altitudes because this is as per the arrival procedures. So the next waypoint indicates that I have to be at 8,000 feet, because right now I am cruising at 10,000 feet. So I have to be at 8,000 feet. Now, if you press this button FBL, you will get the flight plan. And over here you have the vertical profile for the descent. The waypoint is given and the altitude is also given. It will just, I will just reach there in the next 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Yeah. And the target speed or the vertical speed will be 757 feet per minute. So during the descent, what you can do is this: you can use this vertical speed and use this nose down in order to adjust the vertical speed, or you can use this button VNav. So this will actually follow the vertical navigation and it will just descend to 8,000 feet. So let's bring the cursor and look at the other altitudes. Then by MCT, the altitude should be 3,500. Then I will keep on flying at this altitude, 3,500. And then even at the final approach fix, I should be at 3,500. Now at 3,500, I will be intercepting the glide slope. As you can see over here, this is D10, which is 10 nautical miles before the runway. My altitude should be 3,500 in order to intercept the glide slope. So that's it. This is one thing I just wanted to tell you. Now what I'll do right now, that currently in the nav 2, the ILS frequency is adjusted. As you can see, it's 109.5. So I can just put this frequency over here, 109.5. And I can swap it. So instead of tracking the viewer in the first nav 1, I can now track the ILS. And for the second one, I can track this viewer, which is MCT 113.55. 113.55, and I can just track it. Now there is one thing that we have to do, is look at the heading of the runway. It's 232 degrees. So for the ILS, I have to adjust the course. In this regard, just press this option CDI and then get this course over here. So with this knob, you can just set the course. So it's 232 degrees. Now this is the course. Now right now you can see the plane is no longer in the GPS mode. It is out of the GPS mode and it is in the roll mode. So you have to press this nav button again to basically take it back to the heading mode, but still it will not go into the heading mode because the CDI is now showing you the localizer, LOC1. So you have to bring it to the GPS mode again and press nav. So that's how you do it, because if you don't change anything over here on the CDI, nothing will happen. There is one more thing I just want to tell you is this, that just don't activate the OBS. If you activate OBS, the plane will not actually follow this flight path. So just make sure this is inactive, because if you press it, it's green and now it's active. So just keep it like this. So over here, what I can do is this: I can change it to nav2 and get the information of the MCT, a VOR. So now it's being tracked. So 310 degrees. And that's it, 23 nautical miles away. Now 3 more minutes to go. So I will be descending to, let's keep it at 3,500 because, or maybe I can keep it at 8,000 initially and then I can just go to 3,500. So let's adjust the altimeter. And let's keep it at 8,000. Now you can see, as when I'm adjusting, the path has changed. So this is something really interesting over here on the primary flight display. So just I think 30 seconds or maybe 1 minute to the top of descent, I will decrease the throttle and then I will press this button VNav. The plane will actually start to follow this vertical path. The target speed is 575 feet per minute. So let's wait for it. Now I can reduce the throttle as almost 53 seconds to go. Let's bring the speed to 85 knots. And press the VNav. So now as soon as the plane will cross this top of descent point, then the descent will start. As you can see, this flight path has changed. So now it's descending. Just keep your speed slow, because then you will have a good descent rate. Otherwise, at high speeds, the descent rate is not good. You can use your throttle to basically adjust the speed. As you can see, I'm reducing the throttle. The vertical speed is getting adjusted. This magenta indication over here actually is a very good indicator, which tells you the rate of change in the speed. So if this is rate of change is high, this line gets bigger, and if rate of change is less, it gets smaller. And no line, it means the speed is stable. There is no change in the speed. So if I try to increase it, now you can see this line is appearing. So just make sure you don't see it. If you cannot see it, then it means your speed is stable. Now, as I'm also near the airport, so let's adjust the altimeter. Let's get the weather information, and it's 1020. So let's adjust the altimeter. That's it. Now the plane has leveled off at 8,000 feet. I will keep the speed at 85 knots. So now if you look at your screen, I should be at 3,500 feet. And you can see the target speed, vertical speed is coming 685 feet per minute. And required is 787, because I've missed it. I have to further descend to 3,500. So what I can do right now is this, that I can reduce the throttle, adjust the altitude to 3,500. And I can press this vertical speed and go down by like 800 feet. Now, if you look at this screen, it's saying 890. So it's very high. I can adjust to, let's say, 1,000. Now you can see the speed is increasing, so I can decrease the throttle. And now you can see that as per the GPS flight plan, and this is also appearing over here, that my altitude should be 3,500. So this is the altitude to which I should be descending to. So that's how you manage it. And now you can also see the airport over here in the primary flight display. So I'm 720 feet or 7. You know it's reducing because the target descent rate is also reducing because I'm descending at a high rate, which is 1,000 feet per minute. As you can see, it's appearing over here on the flight mode annunciator, FMA also. I can further reduce the throttle, bring the speed in control. And this is my deviation from the planned flight path. So it means I am like 551. It's reducing, although 540 feet above the given descent profile. So it should be either 0 or 5-10 feet plus minus, doesn't make a difference, but not a big deflection from the descent profile. So during the flight, you can interchangeably use vertical speed or flight level change depending upon your flight plan, because right now my vertical speed is my priority. That's why I'm using the vertical speed. If I had used flight level change, then the speed will be the priority. So just flying over the airport and turn right from there. Now you can see this deviation is reducing, so maybe I have to reduce the vertical speed. The target is now set to 700, so maybe I can just keep it here. Now you can see it's okay. Now the speed is reducing. You can give throttle to adjust the speed. Now if you look at your screens, you will just see 2 points. MCD was your initial approach fix. As I explained it to you before, this is where the arrival procedure ends and your approach procedure starts. So that's why this is known as the initial approach fix. And then afterwards, you have a final approach fix. Final approach fix is roughly 6 nautical miles before the runway. So over here, INN 10. So this is actually 10 nautical miles. In this case, for this runway, it is 10 nautical miles. As you can see, D10 means 10 nautical miles, D4 means 4 nautical miles, 3 and 1. So that's how you read it. So 10 nautical miles before the runway, you will be intercepting the glide slope. And for this, you have to actually bring the plane out of this GPS mode, and you have to go to this mode, the nav mode, the localizer mode. So that's why you need to change this. Now fly in the GP. Every time when you change the CDI, remember to bring back the nav mode, otherwise the plane will not follow this flight path. Now over here, instead of tracking the GPS, now let's track the VOR one or the localizer, which is in this case ILS, because I'm not tracking the ILS on nav 1. So let's go to the primary flight display options and bearing 1. Now you can see ILS is coming for nav 1. It is 10.5 nautical miles away. And as soon as I will change it to like this, then you will track it. Nav mode. That's it. So let's zoom in. So after INN 12, it will go to this point D0060 and then come back, intercept, and then again back to this point, and then INN 10, and then the landing. So now the plane is aligned with the runway. So it's now flying in the heading of 232 degrees. So that's why what I can, actually these new controls for the Microsoft Flight Simulator are a bit tricky. I remember we used to use Control 1 for 2020. Now it's Shift 1. So I can just like move it to this mode, and instead of flying in nav mode, I can just go to the heading mode. Now the plane is actually flying in this heading. Now I will, as soon as I moved the CDI to the nav mode or to the localizer mode, you can see the glide slope indicator has started to appear over here, and this diamond will actually be in the middle when the plane will actually start to descend towards the runway if I press this approach button. So let's bring the airport charts over here also, and now you will see the plane is actually moving towards this point. So as soon as I'm 10 nautical miles away from the runway, you will see this diamond will be in the middle, as now I'm 11.3 nautical miles away. So I can make some little adjustment. As you can see this on the course deflection indicator, this CDI needle is slightly towards the left. I can adjust the heading, and I can just bring it in the middle. And now I can go back to the desired heading. Now it's slightly towards the left. So I can just fly in the left direction, just keep it in the middle. CDI needle just showing you. Anyhow, when I will be actually flying in the approach mode, then the plane will automatically bring this needle in the middle. So if you want to just like follow it, you can change the heading to do that. Now As you can see, at 10 nautical miles, it's almost in the middle. So I can press this approach, and now you can see these rectangular boxes have changed your pathway, and here is the runway. You can see it over here in the private flight display. So that's the best thing about this G1000. Now I can reduce the throttle. There is one trick that you have to remember, that during the descent towards runway, when you are reducing the speed and you extend the flaps, the plane will slightly pitch up. So just slowly reduce the speed or the throttle. You see, it pitches up. So you have to have a good control over this. So I will go with full flaps. I'll keep it at 65 knots. So in this video, I have actually tried to cover all the functionality of the G1000, whatever is required for the beginners to actually interact with this device and then fly the planes around. If you are comfortable with this Garmin G1000, then you can do flights with many other planes in this simulator. And it's really nice. It's very flexible. As you can see the map on the navigation display, and then you can make your flight plan according to your needs, whatever you want to do. So you don't have to rely on the electronic flight bag or SimBrief or, let's say, a little nav map or SkyVector, any flight planning device. You can use this navigation display and the flight plan to make a flight plan. So it gives you a good flexibility, and you can change this plan anytime that you want. In this video, I haven't done that. But at this point, maybe I can just show you. You can just press this procedure, and then you can just like select approach and arrival, and you can change it if you want. So that's how you do it. Just bring the flight plan. Let's go back. Clear? And that's it. Now the runway is there. So I hope I have covered everything, but still if you have any questions regarding the Garmin G1000 or Cessna 172, you can ask me in the comment section, or if you want to add anything to this video, if you think I've left it, you can ask me in the comment section. I will just try to land the plane and then end the video. Because my, right now, pilot profile, I'm working on that. 39 takeoffs and only 21 landings. So I don't want to make my, stats look really bad. Because, I've been actually practicing a few flights and I just leave it in the middle. So that's why there's a huge difference. Few days back, I just got a question that at what time the autopilot should be disengaged for the landing. Now it's totally up to you. You can just disengage it at any point, even at the final approach fix 10 nautical miles before the runway. You can just disengage it and then you can fly the plane yourself. It's totally up to you. It's your call. Even you can do this whole flight without the autopilot if you want to have a good control. I remember doing flights with Cessna 152, which doesn't have the autopilot. And it's really a big struggle keeping that plane on the flight path. So even if you're doing career modes, there's too much turbulence and people are really struggling with that. So when I do these videos, I actually keep the clear skies option active. You can see there's no wind. But I think if I was flying in the real weather, it will be really windy. So it gets really difficult to control the plane. So instead of focusing on the videos, your focus goes on the handling of the plane. So I think at this point I can deactivate the autopilot and just try to land it myself. Just keep this CDA needle in the center as the autopilot was doing that, and plus this diamond in the middle. Cessna 172 is a very good plane for the beginners. If you want to learn how to fly the plane in the flight simulator, and plus make various flight plans, how to change it, how everything works. So this is really a good plane. You can do multiple things. There is also a very huge topic, which is viewer navigation. In this video, I've just refrained from going into that because it's altogether a different discussion, altogether a different type of navigation. And let's keep the plane in the middle. I always keep the runway in the middle of these two screws. It really helps me. Let's look at the PAPI lights and the touchdown zone. That's it. Thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I keep on bringing many videos on my channel, so you'll get the notification every time when I upload a video. Thank you very much for staying with me. Have a nice day. Hope to see you soon.